for being here. And we're going to get started. Y'all ready? Hey, y'all got snacks? Everybody got snacks? All right. Now, that was my promise to Zora's house, okay? I'm on the board, so you got to get your snacks. Welcome to the Culture of You Podcast 3. I am your host, Erin Hewitt. We're doing a little something different this season. We are live recording. You are enjoying that. Sometime after this recording, we are in May, and this is meaningful dialogue with me and my favorite people. So the Culture of You is about becoming the leader, friend, lover that you want to be and how you show up in the world. And so we're going to talk about that with some powerhouse people today. But first, we want to thank our partners and sponsors, Zora's House. Let's give it up one time for Zora's House. Yes, I am unapologetically a member of the board, and I love that LC lets me play and do random and creative, weird things. But truly, the entire team here is amazing. Sonia's new with us and helped get this set up today, so thank you to her. The Purple Door Cafe is also my other partner and sponsor in this. You all have drinks and beverages from the Purple Door Cafe over here in Zora's house, open from 7:30 to 2:30, Monday through Friday. All right, let's give it up for the Purple Door Cafe. Letha, I expected you to be a little louder on that one, all right? And then 3E Multimedia, let's give it up for Jay Esquire and her crew in production and videoing today. And then lastly, someone who is not here but is always with me, Soul Dope Entertainment, and my homie Camille, who put all the graphics and the media and all this stuff together. I do not do this alone, and I have a team, and I really appreciate that. And they are great, and they're not here because they're all neurodivergent, and they all want to be behind the scenes. So that's great. We love that for them. All right, so let me get back to it, and let me introduce to you our esteemed, and as the young ones say, drippy panelist. You know that word? Have you ever heard that word? Oh my gosh. Now this is just giving us the generational line. You know what I mean? Drippy means like I'm dripping in swag. You know what I'm saying? Swaggy.
This is the geriatric panel.
The geriatric
Gen X,
Xers.
10 toes down.
See? Geriatric drip. That's a podcast name. That's a shirt. Geriatric drip. And then there's like a walker on the shirt. Yeah, that's great. Just kidding. That's ageist. All right. So let me introduce my panelist, Letha Pugh. Yeah. All right. From Nebraska to Columbus, a business owner. Y'all know Bake Me Happy, right? Y'all know Bake Me Happy. Y'all know Preston's, right? Service is on the way and up, right? We had a little thing, but we're on the way and up. Purple Door Cafe, actually. Y'all don't know that, but Letha is all up in that one. And then a co-founder of Blackout and Proud, a developer, entrepreneur, a mentor, and my personal doppelganger, Letha Pugh. All right, we'll get some more. So think about what I missed, and we'll get right back to that. All right, then we have Siobhan Boyd-Nelson right here. Give it up. Yeah, the pride of Licking County. For Columbus to Howard, back to Columbus, but on a mission for that Esquire at the end of her name. Former deputy director, interim ED twice at Equality, Ohio. Also worked at Kaleidoscope Youth Center. A lot of you probably don't know that. And then co-founded Blackout and Proud with Letha and friends, all right? And then, finally, my wife, Erin Upchurch Hewitt. Yeah. From Gary, Indiana, to Newark, Ohio, to Hilliard, to Columbus. It's true. The current executive director at Kaleidoscope Youth Center, co-founder of the Ohio Rest Collective with me, a yogi, death doula, leopard and lion lover, romantic lover girl, and if I am the ocean, she is the sky. So give it up one more time for Erin Upchurch Hewitt. All right, so what a magical and knowledge-filled panel. All of these women have won the Schellenberger Illuminator Award that goes to someone in the LGBT plus community who has demonstrated outstanding initiative to promote LGBTQ plus rights. I'm honored to have this conversation today. They have taught me and mentored me in ways that are hard to articulate. I have learned about organizing, facilitating, community building, investing, being a good steward of power and resources, and how to have true friendship that holds the dignity of each person as is committed to repair. I'm so excited to have this conversation. So in the interest of you all putting your voice in the room, please tell me what you would like to introduce or say about yourself that I didn't say and that you want people to know and remember about you. Start with Siobhan.
Yeah. Oh, I thought Letha was going to go first. That's all right. Okay. Wow. Yeah, I am a graduate of Howard University. I do want to emphasize that, mostly because my son is also attending Howard University. He will graduate in August. He was supposed to graduate in May, but you know how them 21-year-olds are. So being his mama. So for a long part of my life, the last 21 years, I have been Marcellus's mama. It is my number one job. It is the job I have been best at. It's the job that I am most proud of. And then the second job that I'm most proud of is being Shay's wife, Maritza S. Nelson, Esquire, attorney at law, and supporting that amazing human and being their life partner, best friend, spesh. It's a little inappropriate, but that's all right. So those are the two things I think that I want everyone to know is that I am a mama and a wife, and those are the two things that when I was in 8th grade, I won an award here in Columbus called the Minority Youth Recognition Award. And when I was cleaning out my mama's house of 40 years, found the speech I wrote for that. And my little 8th grade me, you want to know what she wanted to be first and foremost? A wife and a mother. And I can proudly sit here and say that no matter what, everyone said I couldn't do it because I am a woman of color, a queer woman of color, and I have my white picket fence, and I am so proud of it.
Oh, let's give it up for the wives and the mamas. I love it. All right, Letha.
Okay, so yes, I am from Nebraska. So is Amber Ruffin, whoever that is. Okay. I'm from Omaha. Full disclosure, never interacted with a white person until I was in 6th grade. So just so you have some context, that's how Omaha rolls. Yeah, you said what's
that like?
It was traumatizing, but that's also how I made money. So I've always been a hustler. I've just figured out the game. I'm a nurse. I don't know if a lot of people know that. I'm a registered nurse. I have a bachelor's in nursing. I have a master's in information systems. So I came here, I was recruited here by the Med Center from the University of Memphis to bring OSU East Hospital up on an electronic medical record. Not a lot of people know that, but that's how my brain works. It's a process, like put one foot in front of the other. Drives my wife crazy. Because I'm like, all right, I'm going to do the laundry. Step 1. She's like, oh, I can't. I see here you getting ready to do the laundry. So of all the things that I do, I think I'm realizing that being a parent is the hardest thing. I did not have a lot of tools, so I'm digging from what I believe is the best way to raise a teenager, and it is bringing me to my knees. But I'm also seeing, like, if I do this, she seems to respond this way, and it's kind of starting to work. So I have a lot of pride with that right now. I have a dog, but I don't love dogs. I'm just like, hi. And let's see, anything else about me? I love doing yard work. I do yard work for like stress relief. So, yeah.
That's great. I love learning new things about you all still. Erin.
Well, first of all, I'm from Lafayette, Indiana, and not Gary.
My bad.
I lived there for 2 years and then spent more time in Appalachia, Ohio. I'm also a parent. I have a 21-year-old daughter and my son, he'll be 23 next Friday. And being a parent informs every area of my life and has taught me the most. And, people ask those questions like, what do you want your legacy to be? And if for something was to happen today and I no longer existed or was doing work, it would be my children. They are really dynamic, kind, compassionate, smart, funny individuals. And I feel like I'm done, world. Like, I contributed, and because they're really good people. And we know there's not really good people in the world necessarily. I have a really fantastic cat named Temple. I think she's
We have a really fantastic cat named Temple.
Siberian forest cat. Look it up. She's gorgeous, and I think she's a witch. I think all cats are.
Shaman.
Are you gonna do this the whole time?
Just on this stuff, though.
Clear. My baby sister is here in the back. Little Randy. We are 11 years apart, and I have a middle sister, Wendy, who's not here. We're 4 years apart. Wendy has one child, and Randy has 3 children, and I'm obsessed with all of them. And my nephew, JJ, I try to FaceTime almost every day. I really think you should get him his sometimes he engages, sometimes he picks it. You know that gif with LeBron picking up his bag and walking away? Sometimes JJ does that with his iPad, his tablet. He's autistic. He is, what I love about, everything about him is so pure. The joy, the love, the laughter, everything. It's just the sweet spot of humanity. And lastly, I am a Leo sun. I have a very bossy Virgo moon, and I am a Scorpio rising.
What am I?
Oh, you
You're
just
an
got to give her your
Aquarius.
birthday,
Every
and you
time
will have
I
a full
ask
chart
that.
workup
We
in
know
an
you're
hour.
an Aquarius.
I'm an Aquarius.
I
yeah.
need the rest of I need to know what time you
Yeah.
were born.
I mean,
It's like midnight.
me too.
Midnight.
Around 11.
We
I'm
have
telling
the
y'all.
same
We have the same birthday.
birthday.
We're actually
Oh,
birthday twins.
That's right, 'cause
but
we went on a cruise
a couple
with
years
that.
apart. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
this
right.
isn't. We'll have to dig in
Look
and
at
see your
this.
moon
Well,
and rising.
well, Erin will have full reports. So if you come to the June, I think it's June 27th. If you come to that show, we'll report back on their astrology chart. Everyone. All right.
Karen.
I also have 2 cats,
Okay.
Bob and Cal. And
Any more? I want it all out here.
that's it.
Because
that's
y'all are
it. And
big
now
humans.
that you say they witches, now I'm really not gonna be messing with them.
Well, you want to
I'm
get on their good
already
side.
like, no, no, get back. No,
They're just trying to love you.
it's too much.
Healing.
Yeah.
They are. They do have healing
they try-
powers. The purrs are
me?
healing
Yeah.
frequencies.
So I need to let them just
Let them
be
lay on your
just-
chest. Just clear it out. Get your chakras together.
All right, I'm
All right.
trying.
All right.
The healing power of animals.
Very much so.
Can I shout out
Yes,
Skylar?
please.
Okay, Skylar is my unicorn puppy. Sorry, everybody else shouted out there. And Skylar literally, yeah, it does matter. Skylar is the dog that I got during the pandemic. She's my pandemic puppy. And my previous dog had passed away, and my son was about to leave for college, and my wife is an introvert. And I was like, I got too much love for this one woman to hold, and so let me get a puppy. This is called knowing yourself at 45. So let me get this puppy that wants all this love and wants to return it to me. And Skylar is doing her job. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I
Erin,
call.
can we get
I
a
call
puppy? I
Erin.
think that would be
Can we
good.
get a
I
puppy?
think you need a puppy.
We
You
need.
can
I
have a puppy.
So much love.
Erin is Elmira. Okay, I'm just
can
trying to
give you
tell you
Debbie.
right now. Erin is gonna squeeze you and love you and tease you up. Yeah. And I'm telling you, it is sometimes a lot. It is. And so I would endorse
Same.
a puppy. I will get you a puppy. Like you don't have to ask twice.
We should just
What
hang
else
out
do you
more.
want?
Yeah.
You want a
That's what we
fish?
should do.
You want a crab, like a lobster? Like what do you want? You can have it. We love it. So hard. All right. So we're gonna get into a few questions. We're gonna go past, present, future with this. And they're going to talk, and they're used to each other, so they are going to talk also amongst themselves. So we're just going to let the conversation do that. See? So, they, yeah. And so, just get with it. It's like, a kickback. So,
I got to share a quick story about that.
Go for it.
Okay, so my wife is white, right? My mom, my sister, her husband, everybody's over. And Wendy's like, if I start talking, everybody just talk over me. I said, Dick, just get in there. You just do it. I see you over there trying. I was like, and I can't make a space for you. You got to do it yourself.
nah, you can, encourage somebody. I see you at least talk about some double dutch. That's exactly what, get in. You got to get in there. Sometimes that rope don't hit your leg.
I know she got something to say, but I ain't going to do it, Wendy.
Shout out
Wendy.
to Wendy.
Shout out to Wendy. She's often the only white person in the room. My God. We love Wendy. Bless her heart, for real. For sure. All right. So y'all already know the tenor of this conversation. So Where did you get your start in Columbus, community building, organizing, advocacy, and activism? And what was the landscape then, and how did it look over the time you were growing up in organizing? And I'll start this one with Letha.
I never really did any organizing. Okay, the closest organizing I say I would do is I was coming out at Nebraska, which had the most lesbians per capita in the United States at one point, and I would hang out outside of the women's studies department because I was just kind of like, hey, I heard there were some lesbians here, but I never would engage. When my first activism stuff was Stonewall. I went to an event, and Lester was there, Wanda Ellis, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, I see some black people here, and they're kind of doing what they're doing, and it just kind of like skyrocketed from there. But yeah, this was like 2007. Didn't really know like what my voice or my lane was. But what I knew was that there were other people out there like me, and how could I, one, engage with those people, but then also it took me a long time to kind of to own it, because I just didn't know I really didn't know where I fit in. I was black, but I'd been around like a lot of white people. I was a woman. I wasn't really doing business stuff back then. I was just kind of working and drinking and smoking. And I think as I kind of blossomed over the years, I began to see like how impactful like being involved was. And I really got a lot of good feelings from being involved with the Pride Festival. So like a lot of times I was on a lot of the committees and things like that, and not so much anymore. I'm just kind of out here chilling, working.
Black Out and Proud service.
Black Out and Proud, but even with Black Out and Proud, I have realized I am the old head, and that's fine. You know, I manage the finances, and I get a lot of happiness out of that. But I see like the younger people doing their thing. I can get a little grumpy sometimes too. Like the other day, I was like, "We done. I think we done. We need to shut it on down." And that really, we did need to shut it down. I was just in a mood that day. Service, yes, service. So I started a nonprofit during the pandemic, where we like hopped in and were feeding people in the restaurant industry. We did about 12,000 meals in 8 weeks. Set up like you could log in, you'd pick a time, you'd pick a restaurant. It is probably one of the hardest and most beautiful things that I've been involved with. From there, we started doing cash grants. We had such an organized system that the Franklin County Commissioners came and said, hey, we have this cafe. You guys, if you want it, you can take it. And I tried every way to sabotage it. I never forget, they were like, what would you want to do? It was Erica Crawley and John O'Grady. And I was like, well, I wouldn't, if we couldn't offer like full health insurance, no. And they'd be like, oh, that costs too much. The next week they'd be like, we can do it. I'd be like, oh, shit. All right. I was like, I said, when you come in, you start making $15 an hour. And then like the next week they'd be like, we can do it. I was just like, okay, maybe the universe is saying do this. We work with people, justice involved, people transitioning off of public assistance. If they have an interest in food, they send them to us. I work with the instructional design department at Otterbein. You can get a certificate now, and it has been, people come in and they are broken. And when they leave, they are just like, I mean, I'm not saying I'm like a miracle worker or anything, but it's working. It's working. It's working. It is working. People are happy. It's working so much so, we just signed a lease at 145 North Grant, the old CCAD building. We're going to do a little bit of a finer dining experience for people, but workforce development folks, say you're a line cook, you want to be a sous chef, you want to be an executive chef. Unfortunately, somebody broke into the building on Tuesday, and I think between Tuesday and Thursday, they took a good amount of copper and things like that, but it's working itself out. I think I found some money over here. Listen, I ain't out here doing this, so I can't like double back and ask people for favors. So I'm like, I don't ask for a lot of favors, but I'm like, hey, I know there's a pot of money over here for this. Will it help with this? Infrastructure money, water lines, electric. So that's going to get worked out. But we have a waiting list of about 170 people for Cafe Overlook. 170 to be in the program.
We can give that up for them.
I mean, we only take 20 people in a cohort, and the cohort is 6 to 8 months.
And what do they do in the cohort?
You learn how to conflict management, like don't be in here killing each other. You're walking around with sharp knives, and they learn they get some financial support. We do work with mental health. We work with we help you with child care. I have a caseworker who comes to the floor once a week. You can make an appointment with her or him or her. You sit down, take care of what you need to take care of. I've been on the phone for 4 hours. I've been on the phone for 3 days. I'm bringing it to you here. We help with housing. And when I couldn't find anywhere for them to live, I bought 3 buildings, and they in the buildings, and they are
no big deal.
Great. I don't have it. I mean, hey, I
NBD.
I love renting to people that I tell them, if you don't drink the Kool-Aid, this is a community, So I have a place up near Northern Lights. I have this lady in the building. She's crazy as hell. She is my ride or die. And she said, I come with the building, Letha. I was like, you're absolutely right. And you're right. I do love I do love real estate. I'm about to start building a duplex, which is a whole nother set of like skills and things. I think I might be a little bit ADD, but I think I figured out how to like kind of quell the beast. So, it's a lot in here.
Moving and shaking.
Moving and shaking.
Thank you for sharing that.
I am shaking.
You're doing it. Do it scared. Do it. You're doing it.
Yeah, don't be scared.
Yeah, you're doing it. Or do it scared, Amazing.
So true Aquarian nature, everything that you do.
Erin, you want to go ahead?
Thank you.
Go ahead, Erin.
Oh, next.
Yeah.
Are you
Same question. Do you want the question again?
Please.
All right.
I was I was learning.
We're into it. No, I'm learning new things too.
Letha is like the.
Exactly.
But,
That's
you're
exactly
just
what I
like
want my questions to do.
I just see you with this giant hand, just like holding the community in so many ways, and
Infrastructure.
I was
It's huge.
just all of it.
Last night, I said to Wendy, because I do a lot of talking before I'm putting my pajamas on, I'm talking.
Debrief.
And I said, I don't know if anybody saw the news last night. I was on the news. And I said to Wendy, I think I'm a big deal.
There we go.
And then I said, that make you want to bone me?
Did you get some?
You got to add that uncle in there. It's always an uncle waiting to come out with something.
Listen,
I drink your
she
bath
was
water.
like,
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Lay down. She said, go to sleep. We're all tired. She's a co-owner. She said, lay down. Go to bed. You're asleep. You're sleepy. Night, night.
Yeah, I think she was like, you only do this 5 times and I'm asleep.
Bless your heart, Wendy. She probably didn't know she was going to be so involved in this podcast. It's part of the job. Yeah, we signed up for it. All right, Erin.
Yeah, what was the question?
Okay. Where did you get your start in Columbus? Community building, organizing, advocacy, and activism. And what was the landscape then, and how did it look over the time you were growing up in that community building, organizing, advocacy, and activism?
It's a great question. I think what I can say is I never, ever sought out to do activism, advocacy. I'm a social worker. I was raised in a family of like, oh, if it's not being done, do it. If you see, as a social worker, if you see a need, you fill it. Grew up in the Pentecostal evangelical church, is like, missionary training, right? And so some things are just, I think, by nature, or just happening. But I can mark a time here in Columbus would have been. I'm thinking about my high school years and how I inadvertently organized things in school too. But 2004, I started working at the Columbus AIDS Task Force, which has now evolved into Equitas. I was a case manager, social worker then, and I remember vividly sitting in a community action group, and the consumers were part of that, and they were making decisions about how federal Ryan White dollars got to be spent. And I'd never seen anything like that. And I was like, this is powerful. The voice of people, the lived experience, the listening, the exchange, the vision for what else is possible. That's really where I was like, oh. Went back to school, went to grad school. I wanted to be a community organizer. I remember my dad was like, oh, will you make more money? No. The answer is no, spoiler alert. But I went and got my master's in social work. The concentration is called Community Practice for Social Change. It was social and community development back in the day, but it's evolved, and it just made sense. And we learned about the theories of old school organizing. We studied the Black Panther. We studied the Black Panthers in social work school, right? That was Case Western. Shout out MSSA. I see you, Danny. But we studied that, and we studied Saul Alinsky, all of these giants in the organizing world, and it just all made sense for me, and that it connected to something within me. It just came alive. And so I worked there for probably about 4 years, I think, at CATF. But that was kind of my introductory into, I think, even myself, who I was, how I was going to show up in the world. In the landscape, it's so interesting to think about because I was so deeply on the inside. It's I knew Stonewall existed. I think I'd seen a picture of you doing something. Who knows, right? But I was just okay, that's out there. But we were so deeply embedded in the world of HIV and AIDS because it was early 2000s. It was still a big deal. And people were still dying, and they were poor, and and all the things. And I remember my first board was the Ohio AIDS Coalition, and we would do healing weekends. And it would be for people living with HIV and AIDS, and we would volunteer for the weekend. And it was just a space of camaraderie, community, healing, arts. And those have just been the things I've been doing over the last almost 20 years. And the landscape has, I don't even know what to call it. I don't want to say it has grown and it's changed, it's evolved. I think I met you, Siobhan. It was at some kind of tabling situation. There's a sorority, or it was an LGBTQ something. I don't know where I was working or why I was there, but that's how. New Leaf Columbus with Erin Riley. Yes. Erin Riley was the ED at Columbus AIDS Task Force, the first Black person I'd ever worked for. He was the first Black ED or person of color there and in the state at the time. And one of my mentors, Erin, brilliant mind. Yeah, we had New Leaf Columbus, and it was that attempt to, because we knew we were out here. And so I think that's how we all started connecting too, through New Leaf Columbus, Columbus Urban Pride. Oh my gosh, it's all coming back to me now. It's all coming back to me now. But for me, I love community, right? I am an introvert. I recharge very well by myself with my cat. I try to play games and be in the back of the room at places. It never works for me. And I love community. This is my spiritual practice. And so that's just where I just keep showing up, and I keep doing it from that place in my heart. And I think the biggest change, and I was just talking about this at work the other day, is the amount of us who are leading. The amount of black folks, black and brown folks who are leading organizations, leading groups, and leadership roles, and non-LGBTQ organizations, this podcast. Like, we're so visible. It's beyond visibility. We exist, and we're here, and we're present. And that's the biggest evolution. Of course, there were things that happened with Stonewall in 2017. I worked at Equality Ohio. I think Siobhan was at KYC when I worked there. And then Siobhan is at Equality Ohio. I'm at KYC, and I know you worked at Stonewall. So it's just also been interesting ways that we are like been able to like start paths for each other, but then also support each other on those paths. And it's just this really beautiful synergetic space. Yeah, I guess that's a little bit of the journey.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear what Siobhan has to say.
Yeah, so I got my start because my parents believed that I could be working all the time, volunteering. Like, I was raised as a volunteer. I started volunteering in the 6th grade for the Columbus Public Library System, their summer reading program. Then I went to COSI. I was a volunteer at COSI for like 6 years. Yeah, like my parents were like, you need to do something. You got too much energy. Like, hey, you see Letha over here. We got the same birthday. I had all the energy. They had to do something with it. So I was used to doing something all the time with my time. And then I went to Howard University. I mean, Howard literally, it's the home of Black advocacy, so many amazing leaders and such a legacy there. You learn how to be an advocate and a leader and a loud person, kind of, to speak up at Howard. And then came back here to Columbus, and I'm going to be real honest with you. Columbus is not where I've been Black. When I have been Black, when I've been in my Black identity, it's been in D.C. when I was at Howard University. Columbus, I'm just now getting into my Black identity here in Columbus, and I think it's because I'm 45 and I don't care anymore. But just to provide some background to that, when I grew up on the Far East Side, and I went to private school my entire life, and when I would meet Black people in my neighborhood, the Black kids, they were always like, "You sound white. You act white. Why are you so white?" And I think, though, being the old person I am now, though, I think they were reading my weirdness as whiteness.
Yeah, that quirky, awkward
Right,
Black
like, because
girl,
I am
yeah.
like I am just a weird person. I don't know if you saw the shoes, but it like
Those shoes?
yeah,
Those aren't weird.
they're
Those
are
are
they
great.
fun?
No, you got that fringy.
They're
shit.
There's a
colorful.
fringe, yeah, there's
Vibrant.
fringe,
That's weird.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
weird.
Vibrant.
But it was, but you can imagine in the 90s, early 2000s, weirdness was read as whiteness because Black people, we had this, and then white people had this as far as what you could be. And when I got back to Columbus, and be real honest with you, I did with the Black people again, and they didn't feel space for me, and so I fit in with the gays. Actually, and so that's where my leadership started because that's who accepted me. I did come back here to go to law school. So am I an advocate? Yeah, I was trained to be an advocate. I went to law school. And when I showed up in Black spaces, I showed up at Stonewall. So a group of, white gay guys got together and they were like, we should have, it was the time of young professionals. Remember when young professionals were the thing? You had to have all these young professional groups. They were like, we're going to start a gay young professionals group in Columbus. And I was like, me and my friend at the time, Black woman, we saw it and we were like, yeah, we're going to that informational meeting. Because I love a meeting, y'all.
She got the agenda. She's
Y'all,
facilitating it
I
ideally.
love a meeting. Just
She's
invite
good.
me.
She's a
And,
good.
and a spreadsheet.
In a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Y'all, I
Organized.
make Google Docs for my cruises,
she
for
is
my
a
vacation.
nerd.
It's true.
It's really thorough and it's really helpful. I'm just going to say that on a cruise, but yeah.
So they were like,
She keeps us together.
Embedded links and everything.
yeah. So this group of gay guys are like, we're going to start a young professional gay group. My girl and I are like, yeah. And so then they're like, let's elect leadership. And I raised my hand. Why? Because I don't know how not to raise my hand. It is a problem. And so I became like the vice president of Link Out, and that's really where it started. And that was like in 2008, 2009 maybe. And then New Leaf was happening, Columbus Urban Pride was happening. I mean, these are the things that are the forebearers of Black Out and Proud. And I want to say that. And we knew that when we established Black Blackout and Proud. And that was one of the reasons we established it, is because we knew that we had been there before. We had been in that moment of being Black queer individuals who needed community, who needed to see one another and be able to access one another at times of need. And we had tried it, and we had tried it. And that's why when Letha be like, we're done, I'm like, Letha, no, I ain't doing this again.
I'm just tired.
I know, but I'm like, Letha, we done did this 2 times. Like, this is the 3rd one. This is it, okay? And so that was the beginning. And from there, I got asked to be on the board of Scarlet and Gay, which is the OSU GLBT Alumni Society, and there was a lot of fun there. And then the board of the Legacy Fund of the Columbus Foundation. But let me say all this. I know the reason why those doors opened to me, and it's because I was a Black queer girl with a JD. Y'all, if that ain't a unicorn, and they loved it. They were like, oh my gosh, you check so many boxes, right? And then, but when I got in the door, I will also say this, when I get in the door, I raise my hand. I'm always volunteering and willing to do the thing once I'm in the door. But I'm quite cognizant of that's why they wanted me there in the first place, because people love to get their boxes checked. And then I would say that my advocacy really strong, like professionally getting into queer community, literally became because I lost my job. I was an attorney, I hated it, they fired me, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I don't know if y'all have met attorneys before, and I say this being married to an attorney and law firm owner. Attorneys suck, y'all. Like like as a group of people to like hang out with all day and work around, not fun. Right? Like and especially I was doing like divorce law, and all they want to do is just be assholes to you in front of their clients so they look good because their clients are pissed off. And I'm like, that's not my life. I didn't want to spend my day being an asshole, right? Like that just doesn't sound like fun. So I was like, I'm done with law. And I was like, I love gay people and I love kids, and I used to want to be a kindergarten teacher. And then there was an opening at Kaleidoscope Youth Center, and it was for a part-time administrative assistant. I was a 31-year-old professional with a JD, a wife, and like a 5-year-old son at the time. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to go take this part-time job at KYC as an administrative assistant. And, 10 years later, I was the interim ED at Equality Ohio. So, like, if you just follow what you love, if you take that chance, it can be really scary. But that was the start of just saying yes and volunteering and being like, this is the environment I want to be around. These are the people I want to be with. This is the community I love.
I love that about saying yes.
I want to say too, and like even in that role, I'm still coming across paperwork with your name on it, because you lead, regardless of the title and position, and so it's there. Your legacy is there.
Yeah, and saying yes can open doors. I mean, for me, it makes my wife tell me to sit down, but I do feel like that saying yes has led me to experiences that I wouldn't have had if I wasn't saying yes a lot. So I definitely understand that. Thank you all. This next question is about right now. What do you feel like your role in this time is, and what are you aware of that you would like to change within community? All right, Erin, start us off.
I know. I already know.
She's trying to figure out how to say it. That's what she's
words
trying to do. She's trying to figure out
because
how to say it.
I'm mindful that this is a public situation, and
We'll be on record, yeah.
I already tell the truth really deeply. What needs to change? What I want to see different? Where they're doing
Virgo,
it wrong.
I asked 2 questions. What do you feel like your role is
Yeah.
in this time? And then what are you aware of that you would like to change within community?
Within community, there's 2 things that bring me a lot of grief in community. One is we are consistently in this space of competition to be the best, to be the first, to be the biggest, to get money here, money there. And I would love a system in which we're not competing for resources. That to me is recreating the systems that already exist in the world. Call it capitalism, call it white supremacy, call it what you want, but that's it, survival of the fittest, and that's happening in the world. I'm wearing a nonprofit shirt today. Like that's my world, and it's a scarcity mentality, and that's why there's no change. The second piece, well, let me acknowledge there's incremental change. There is change. The second piece, though, would be we do Band-Aid work in all communities, even a lot of business places. I think that's why, Letha, you're so revolutionary, because you get to the root of things. You don't just build something to build something. You build something to solve a problem, to change something, to pull out the weeds. And I believe that our social problems that we have don't have to exist. I know there's a lot of factors, but as being a systems person, we have the resources, the tools, and the knowledge and the capacity to do something different, to where nobody has to be homeless in Columbus, Ohio. I believe that wholeheartedly. It does not have to happen. We know how to prevent it. And so the other piece is, and I think even in our community, because we are so embedded in the different organizations and businesses, we are part of that ecosystem. And queer folks, like, we know how to build. We know how to build behind the scenes, under the table, whatever it is. We know what to do and to be safe. And because we're, visible collectively, more visible collectively, we have this really cool opportunity. And I think we all know why we've gotten invited to tables and why we're in there, and all these reasons. And so now it's like, how do you step into that and find your sweet spot? And then the last thing, so I have a list of what could be done differently, is I would love to see a shared vision of what liberation means. Right? Because everybody has something different. Even now, if we look at the State House and what's coming out of the State House and the budget, and don't get me wrong, this is a tactic from other opposition, right? If we can split everybody up, right? Remember when you were a kid, I don't know if you did this with your parents, you would go to one parent and then go to the other one to see what answer you get. Like, that's what they're doing to us, but we don't have a shared vision in our community, whether it's the queer Black community, the Columbus community at large, of like, what does liberation actually look like? Therefore, we don't have a shared message and shared intentions and shared resources. So that's my big picture. And then my role, I don't know.
You want to tell them what you want to do? That's future.
What I want to do is, wait, which one? The forest one? Okay. I think, my role right now is to make sure that resources exist so that people can get their needs met. That is a social worker, if I've ever thought to define it, and I think there's a lot of ways to do that. But I also think my role, I'm in a space of middle age, right? And I have realized I'm a leader's leader. And to make sure, again, folks have the tools for sustainability, whatever that means, whatever that happens next, what do those tools need to be? And to use my voice. I've got experience, I've got the privilege of the visibility and representation, and so I think my role is to use the voice that I have and that I've been given.
Yeah, more of you. All right, Siobhan.
I'm in my soft era right now. I am in my third floor nest with my puppy and my unicorn stuffed animals and relax era. And that's my role, right?
You got a lot of stuffed animals up there?
Yeah, I still have my collection of stuffed animals from childhood. Yeah. I took them to
Are
college.
they organized in a way?
No,
Okay.
I don't have them all out yet because the nest isn't done. But
Will they be
Yeah.
organized? In the
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
then there will be a disco ball. So, so I'm in this soft era because right now my role is to heal, because I've been through a lot of trauma. Like, I'm just gonna be real with you about the trauma that I've been through in doing this work since 2010. So 15 years of being in this community doing this work. Just as an example, it's hard for me to check email. I have a visceral, physical reaction to checking email. But now in my last role, I get about 300 emails in a day, right? Like, so email has that. And email, I would find it'd be a random Tuesday, and it'd be like, a state senator decided to blow up the world. And in that information, I was getting so much information through that medium that now even going to that medium to get information that I want is a scary proposition for me. And that's just kind of one example, the tip of the iceberg of the real trauma and the real pain that one can experience when doing the work of leadership. And I think that what we experience as leaders in these spaces, especially when you are working for yourself and working for your own community, it's one thing to be a leader at Chase. It's one thing to be a leader for, some random thing, but when you're working for yourself and for your own community, you're like you're squeezed in the middle because you're trying to feed the people, but you're also trying to make sure that the hand that feeds you doesn't get mad and cut off the resources. And it's threading a needle, right? You are constantly threading a needle. And it gets tiring, and we don't have enough infrastructure and or support for leaders and for leadership and for the people who really do make the things work because they are navigating all of those really tough situations. If I could see the landscape change, it'd be more grace. I think we'd have more grace for one another. We'd understand that this is not simple work. If it were simple work, everybody would be stepping up and volunteering to do it. I have 2 board positions right now. I'm the chair of 2 boards. Neither one of them, I think one I volunteered for and the other I didn't, right? I get voluntold to do a lot of things right now. So in my soft era, I'm still in leadership because I am being voluntold to do it because there aren't enough people who have the capacity and the wherewithal and the desire to stand up and do it. And those that are standing up and do it aren't getting the support and the grace and the infrastructure that they need to do it well, and not lose themselves while doing it. I'm in my soft era because my wife was like, I need you to sit down. All right,
I used to worry about you. I did.
I told you I got 10 more months of hustle in me. You gonna get me to sit down real quick, soon enough.
Yeah, my wife looks at my calendar now. It's like, why are there meetings on your calendar? It is your soft era, right? And I had a whole day of meetings this week. It was great because I love meetings. But yeah, some more grace, some more understanding, just some more support and more people. I think a bigger bench. It would be a bigger bench. It's tough being a coach when you look down the bench. You only got 4 people, 5 people, and everybody.
They all got bandages on
They all
them.
got they all injured.
Woo-wee.
They out here limping. You talked about that walker earlier. When your entire bench got a cane.
Man. Then the one down the hall is like, me, I don't want to go in. You know what I mean?
And it's
and if you're leading, you want to win.
You want to
win. At your bench, and you're like, this ain't a win.
Well, it's hard. I'm be real. It's hard when you look around at the people in the audience who ain't on the bench, and they're like, my ankle hurt last Tuesday. I'm like, dude, this guy got a broken ankle. What are you talking about? Like, come on. Like, literally, I get frustrated with the folks. How do I want to say this? Because I want to give grace and be gentle because I'm not showing up right now. And
you deserve that. So I think the challenge and what I understand and what I can see as someone who does not gladly have children, it winds up being a thing of like how folks were raised, and I think a lot of times the resilience isn't there. It's unfortunate that we've had to be so resilient, but I think sometimes that resilience isn't there, and then that shows up in like, I need a mental health day. Not only did I do that, but I also needed it 3 days before, and then I needed it multiple days after, and there's no functionality, right? And that's, to me, what I believe in the generation that's coming up now especially is lacking in resilience.
Yeah. I just want people to give 5 minutes. I just want people to show up and give 5-10 minutes. And if we all showed up and give 5 to 10 minutes, then nobody would have to give 5 hours. Right? And I'm a person who's living with a chronic disability. I actually don't have 5 hours to give. My body cannot, I am physically incapable of giving you 5 hours. But I'm still showing up and giving you the 15 minutes that I got. And I think that it would be encouraging to see more of that.
And I think to your point, snap it up, for sure. And I think to Erin's point, when we think about youth and like leading and how that is going, I think another challenge is the cognitive dissonance, right? There's like a lack of, they've watched you all struggle to, circulate the same resources and doing the same systems that don't work. And so there's a detachment, I think, there from like, why would I want to step into that? Like, and there's not a really great case other than like humanity and love. Like, there's not a great case to like jump in.
Yeah, I wonder, and that's, I wonder, because when I was coming up, I was seeing Letha and Wanda at the table. And seeing Letha and Wanda at the table made me believe that I could be at that table, and I wanted to jump in. And so sometimes I do wonder, are we encouraging, are people seeing us here and being encouraged, or are they seeing us here fighting the same battles that Wanda and Letha were fighting 10, 15 years ago and becoming discouraged by it? And it's like, how do we change that message, because not showing up isn't the answer either.
It's interesting that you say that, because I felt like I was showing up, but I didn't really know how to show up. And what I saw was the more money you gave, that's how you ran things. And I was like, I don't have money like that. So I just kind of like backed out. But I had to like figure out for me what felt good about showing up. And so like, I'll give you an example. I'm on the Small Development Council for the Chamber. And there's a bill that they're trying to introduce for paid time off, primarily for moms, dads, anybody, any caregiver, a chronic illness baby. And a lot of the small business owners is like, it's like a tax. It's like workman's comp, because they would make it like just like unemployment based on your payroll. Everybody would pay a certain percentage, and half the table was like, no, I don't want it. It's a tax. The other half is like, well, we do it anyway. And I was like, what if as a society we said, hey, we're going to take care of people? And I'm 53 now. I'm like, you know what? I got a little soapbox here. I'm just putting it out there. Why can't we just take care of each other? And it not be like, but this is mine, I'm scraping it over here. And that's where I feel comfortable now. I am the most comfortable with showing up as me and pretty much calling out like, that's some white shit, and you could do it like this, or why can't we see it different? Because I'm doing it. So now I'm in a place where I'm like, if I can do it, you can do it. And it's very interesting. I feel like there's a segment that's like really down with it, and then there's a segment that's like, we don't want you here. And I'm okay with that too. I'm a doer. So it's almost like when people present things to me, I don't know how to just listen. Which is kind of like, almost like a consultant too, which
Yes.
I have to figure out how to
Put that on your
monetize
website.
that. Yes.
Come talk to us.
Keep giving it away.
Yeah.
But I want people to realize like their potential. Like, you have an idea. It's so easy for me, like, oh, you have an idea? You just need to do X, Y, and Z. And then to scale it, you need to do, because that's just how my brain works. The thing that frustrates me really right now in this community is the realization that we really don't want to fix affordable housing. We really don't want to fix poverty because somebody's making money off of it. And I'm saying it, and I'm saying, if you want to fix it, give me the money, because I'll fix it. Am I going to pay myself? Hell yeah. I should be paid. I have bills too, right? I'm doing the work. I should be paid. But if I can make it work, and I'm telling you, I'm looking at the numbers, I'm doing the numbers, I have a plan, okay, give me the money, and I'm getting resistance, then I'm going to start saying, I was on a call the other day, and I said, what we doing here? I'm in an infinity loop. I'm telling you, I got the plan, I got this, I got that, I know you got the money. Why are we doing this? And I got both organizations on the call because you were saying this and you were saying this. And somebody texted and said, oh, the Nebraska Letha came out. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means, because but at
You gotta go somewhere sometimes. You know, you gotta go back.
It's got a little deeper, a little bass in your chest.
The hood, Letha?
It's so funny. It's such a switch too, because it's like, wait a minute now, like what the, you know what I'm saying? Like,
See it before the words even come out. Your whole
I was on another call with a bank, and they offered me. Matt and I were trying to buy a different try to buy this restaurant, and they didn't come with the money I asked for. He said, your face. He was texting me, your face. My face must have been so horrible that the woman from the bank called the next day and said, I didn't sleep all night. And Matt said it was a mix of anger, confusion, disbelief. I said, if I ask you for $500,000 and you give me 300, you set me up to fail. I can buy the business, but I don't have the working capital.
Welcome to nonprofits.
And you said I only asked for what I needed.
I only asked for what I needed. And then now you want to come back and be like, we it's bullshit.
And that's the cycle.
It's a lot of bullshit.
It's
And
a lot of
like,
bullshit.
don't piss me off.
And that's
all
the
right?
cycle.
So here's the thing. I will never run for public office.
Good.
I am
Me either. Yeah.
I am because I am the trusted person in the community who will do the work.
You can do more in
And
the community without that title.
I mean, but you see what I mean? Like, I've embraced that. If y'all got the money, but you need the people to build it, and I'm saying I'll build it, give me the money. That's it.
Every day.
What's that,
every
Pearl?
single
That's
grant.
that video with Will Ferrell, like, give me my money. Like, Pearl, like, give me the money.
And so, because they're not going to build it. They sitting on the table. They're sitting around tables. And the more tables I sit around now, it's really interesting, you guys. It's a whole nother world out here of some bullshit.
Fuckery.
Yeah.
Fuckery.
But I'm taking it in, and I'm figuring out how I can help. That's all I'm doing. I'm just, okay, I know this is happening over here, but I know this is needed over here, how I put the two together. And I'm getting like a lot of joy from that right now. I really am.
I just want to thank you. You are the first example of a positive steward of resources and power. And I think a lot of times we're taught to avoid that. I think we're taught to run from that because power and money and greed is evil, right? And so we're taught that, but you have shown us that it can be done with integrity. And I really appreciate that.
It's
What's
I
the
had to
cost?
work through this because I was getting very future, like the potential. I could, and it wasn't. It was happening slower than where I wanted it to be. So then I think my body started reacting to it. But once I worked through it and I sat with it, everything happens for a reason. If we don't get the loan for Preston's, it's okay. Maybe this isn't the season. Something else will come, and I just keep myself open. I was sitting up here laughing because I was like you, except I didn't have parents who put me in things. My mom had when she was 14, so I just like tell people it's the truth. I was making my own thing, so like I put an ad in the paper. Because back in the day, you could put an ad in the paper, they would send you a bill in the mail. And I wanted to be in a band. And so people kept calling the house, and my mom was like, I don't know why I keep getting all these calls about this band. And I'd be sitting on the couch, and I'd be like, and finally it came out. I was like, I put an ad in the paper because I wanted to start a band. She was like, you got all these people calling here and talking to me. I don't know what this is about. And then I made some money. I went to the pawn shop. I bought me a guitar. And I went to the library, and I checked out all these books that I knew I wasn't going to return anyway. I was notorious for stealing books from the library. And remember when Columbia House, you could get all those cassettes? Yes. Thousands of cassettes. Okay, I had all the
In
music.
Nebraska?
Oh,
They
in
still looking for your
Nebraska.
ass.
Oh, yeah. They probably still looking for me. And the bill would come, I would just throw it in the air. Like, yeah, that was me.
What a trend, what a shift, you know what I mean?
Now, to hear my mom then talk now, I'm thinking, how did she even make it? We used to live by this corner store. She had a credit account. I would go and get yogurt on her credit account because it was just like, what is this? Like, all we eat is fucking banquet chicken. I want to try yogurt, different flavors. So she would go pay it, and she'd be like, why my bill so high? And they'd be like, Letha comes in and she gets yogurt every day. And I was like, I'm sorry.
I just wanted yogurt.
All I can say is, I'm sorry. And then she might like punch me in the back, and I'd be like, well, that's not that bad. Is that it? That's all
Not
you
the
got,
walking
Mom?
away back punch.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're all healing. We're all healing.
We're all healing. We're all healing. Oh, when I learned how to drive, she'd give me the keys. She'd be like, go get some bread. I'd be gone for like 5 hours.
What'd you come back with, too?
I come back with the bread,
And?
but the keys.
And would you get stuff for yourself?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
That was never like that, but I probably drove out all her gas.
Yeah.
And then when I walked by, she'd punch me in the back. And I'd be like, that's not that bad.
I mean, that's how we grew up.
Weigh it out.
We was getting spanked. We was getting punched in the back.
Yeah,
Open chest. You know what I'm saying? We're resilient. So I want to ask this last question.
I should punch Avery in the back.
No!
Avery can't take it.
She didn't mean it for legal purposes.
Hey,
this is a
Hey,
joke.
wait a minute. This is
I'm
my
a
podcast.
mandated
Hey, wait a damn minute.
reporter.
Now, this is my podcast.
It's about testing resilience.
No.
You don't just go in the
I do
room
not
and shut
endorse
the door,
violence,
or-
bullying,
You did not
Or
raise that child to
abusive
take a back
parenting.
punch. You know that.
and I don't
That
have a child.
Avery,
That's
that
why.
child went to
'cause I'ma hit that
Wellington. Oh my
motherfucker.
God.
That's why I don't have a child. Because I'm going to hit you. Because you start talking to me a certain way, we pierce.
No, then the next podcast, I'd be like,
All
I
right.
know I stay with Siobhan now.
I live on the second floor and the third floor with them unicorns.
I'm glad I got a building because I'm living in my own
You
apartment.
got to go live with that crazy tenant you got. Oh, my God. All right. So the last question I want before we open up a couple questions to the audience is, you know, I love to get into a little Afrofuturism and think about the world that we're trying to create. And I know you all are trying to create a world where, you know, everybody's taken care of and everybody has their basic needs at minimum met. But when you think about thriving and when you think about what the world could really look like, say we had the magic snap to fix all the systems that were broken, what does that look like for you all? And I'm going to start with you, Siobhan.
Oh gosh.
Big visionaries here.
Yeah, I don't, and that's. I'm going to say very honestly, that's a tough question for me because I'm in this space of healing and really figuring out who I am and what my next chapter is. But I think my guiding light. I'm going to come out as a Christian here. And actually have a podcast called Coming Out Christian. It's all about being queer and Christian at the same
really
time.
good
It's
job.
super
So
fun.
good.
So cool.
Yeah, you can
I
find.
actually want you to start a church.
And so,
I'm waiting. I can't
Coming
believe
to
you
the gay
haven't
church. I'm
actually.
coming.
golly geez, do you see this? Do you see?
I'm in there. I'll be on your praise and worship team.
Well, see,
Yeah.
and I guess what
We just have church here.
well,
Is this church right
church,
now?
church right now. This is church.
church.
This is
Okay.
church.
Look at that.
Yep. Done. Well, my answer is I wanted, and it's going to sound so like a Pentecostal evangelical answer, but I mean it in the most like black future communist socialist way possible, is the kingdom of God. And the reason I say that is, you know, your kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. And I believe in that prayer is that I'm not looking to heaven. I'm not looking to be saved. I'm not looking to get out of this earth in this situation. I'm looking to be a conduit for God's love here on earth because he told me that's what I was supposed to do. We weren't supposed to be waiting until heaven. We were supposed to be building that kingdom here, now, today. And if we built that kingdom, if we had that love, then we would solve these problems. We would be living in a society that wanted to care for one another, that love was at the root of our leadership and everything that we did. So I don't know what that looks like. I know that right now this podcast is really feeding me because I'm kind of living in my queer Christianity space and saying I love Jesus a lot, and that's like really fun. It's rough out here in the world. I don't know what it is. Like it's like one of those like, oh my gosh, I don't have answers for this, and I'm a girl that has answers for like everything. And right now my answer has been prayer. Like when I look up and I read the news and people are looking at me like what do you think you should do? And I'm like, I don't know about y'all, but I'm praying. Because I don't have a tool for this. I don't have a tool for this world. The tool I have for right now in this situation is prayer and getting closer to God and healing. And so that's really what I want to see. I want to see God's kingdom on earth. I want to see a community united in love. I want to see us caring for one another. I want to be a light. I want to be, that's where I see my future is being a light and being a conduit for God's love. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that looks like. I've stopped trying to tell God what I am and am not going to do with my life. I once told God I am not going to be a fundraiser. And y'all that-
Non-profit.
Yeah. Y'all that know me know that, like, that's literally what I did for 10 years, right? I was like, I don't want to raise money, and told God I wouldn't do that. And God was like, ha. So I'm old enough at 45 now not to tell God what he ain't going to do, because my life has been given over, and he's a lot smarter than me, and that's why he's my God.
Indeed. And I love the notion of faith, Christian, universe, source, whatever you're interpreting as God. I think that is such an important relationship, especially right now. Because I think people are also finding that relationship or seeking that relationship in substances, in bad behavior, all those type of things. So I think that's a beautiful gift that you just gave us right there, even if you don't know exactly what that looks like. I think that is the message, and you said a whole mouthful.
I just need Letha to find me a building.
Can I? Where are you? I'm going. Hey,
Or
that's what I'm about to start
build the
saying. I'm about to go
building.
find a Letha about a building. Okay, Letha about a building. But can I get an amen, y'all, from that one? Okay, all right. We got some. I know we got some theological students in the audience, so I know y'all like that. All right, heaven on earth. Letha.
It's gonna be like super short. Everything's like really bad right now, and I'm trying to figure out how to grow vegetables and
Off the grid.
work my little 3 acres and cut my little trees down, and I hope that we are able to pull it together. I think we're gonna be struggling here for a minute, but I'm seeing like little tiny glimmers of light. I don't like what I'm seeing. Like, I don't like the idea that I'm a little bit excited that Liz Cheney might run for president.
I don't like that either.
I didn't know that, and I'm not excited.
And also,
And thanks.
Right?
Right.
So I'm like, just kind of like trying to figure out where I move in all this. But at the end of the day, what comes to mind for me? I almost think about the cooperativeness of maroon arts. I do. And if you said like, how does that play out? Like collectively, how do we build something and have some land and be resourceful with the skills and the gifts that we have. I'm a very collaborative person. Like, if you notice, like, I have a business partner for all my businesses. It is, I think I'm the most productive that way. It's like an accountability thing. But I also have a lot of hope because I think the young people are saddled with how they are learning how to live with what they will manage when they're older. Does that make sense? Like what Avery is dealing with now, I feel like the younger people are, for some reason, gender expression and sexuality has been what they've been able to expand upon. And when they get older, there's something they're going to learn from that for their kids. So like, we are functioning in how we came about and how we deal with our kids. And every generation is kind of figuring it out. So I think we'll be okay in the end.
Because y'all had children and y'all raised them. I believe that.
I don't know about having kids. I wouldn't do it again.
I mean, no notes. Would not recommend. But I mean, we're all here.
like,
We were
I'll do
children
it.
once.
You know what? I think I would take care of other people's kids.
I love other people's kids. Give them to me, auntie,
I
forever.
probably would have like 10 kids.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
But I need the money, and I need
Yes.
a minivan, and I need...
So you opening up a foster house? Got a system already.
We got a foster home already.
We got a
just
foster home
built
already
in our
built.
head.
Yeah.
But only babies. I only want babies.
When do they have to
Come hold
get
the
out?
babies. Yeah.
Erin will come work with
Actually
you for
thinking
sure.
about volunteering to just rock babies.
Do it.
Oh my
Like
gosh,
an
that would be
hour.
amazing.
I need it.
Even in like the NICU, you can get kangaroo time. Oh my gosh, yes. Okay. All right. So Erin,
Can
my
you repeat the
visionary.
question, please? My mind has traveled so
I
many
know.
miles.
That's why I'm so
So-
excited for people to get into your mind. But in the Afrofuturism context, I want you to let us know what your vision is of thriving if we could, snap in all the systems. You don't have to figure that out, the systems piece. But we
Alrighty.
snap in all the system. I know you have. But the systems piece is not a factor. What does that world look like?
Well, because I'm a systems person, I look at it from like an individual, community, and systemic level. And I know I get distracted very easily. Sorry, I was like, what? What's going on? I spoke earlier around like we have all we need to solve our social problems. None of them, even crime and violence, there's a source. If we can address the source, and maybe people are people, right? So there might be some, but our prisons should never, ever be as overfilled as they are, and that's a whole different conversation. So I think, if I'm looking at it kind of from that macro space, well, actually, let me come down here. I want a world in which having a girl child is not terrifying and having a black male child is not terrifying. I want that world. I want a world, so my dad he just turned 70. In 2021, he fell off a ladder, has a TBI. Sorry to bring up old stuff, Randy. And it was very traumatic for our family. He also had 2 strokes. The man had just retired 4 months prior. And my dad has always been probably one of the smartest people that I've known. And he still is, and he's different now because he had a TBI and a brainstem stroke and had to go through rehab, and my sisters and I stopped talking for a little bit. Like, it was a lot. And as long as I'm 25 years as a social worker, this system is so damn hard to navigate, and I know how to navigate. I know how to advocate. I know people and all of these systems. I want a world in which if somebody is harmed or gets hurt, it's not so hard to get health care. It shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be hard. I hate seeing my dad be vulnerable to a system of Medicaid and Social Security and his pension. He worked at UPS for 30 years and drove a truck. Like, he loved that job. And he's good now. He's the best and probably healthiest and most vibrant I've ever known him to be. It's not because of our systems. So I want that world where our elderly, our aging, our dying are not, where their humanity is still held. I want a world in which, my nephew JJ, my sister, doesn't have to make 1,000 phone calls just to make sure he gets his needs met. Or that my son in school who needs an IEP, we had to fight for it. Like, that's the world I want. And I think if we had to sum it up, I want a world in which our humanity is centered and we can be in our fullness of our humanity. One time somebody said, why do we ask pronouns? So I can see you in your full humanity. I want to relate to you in your fullness of your humanity, however you're showing up that day. I don't need to know why you chose that pronoun, but because I want to see you and hold you and honor you in your dignity and your fullness of your humanity, I'm going to call you what you want me to call you. Like, I want that world. I want a world in which, we can be creative. I'm looking at this book, this Art, Activism, Action. It's just held my attention. But art is so beautiful, and we use it in so many ways. But how many of us are just creating on purpose because we have the space to daydream and rest? And I believe we all have a vision of what's true and what is possible in this world. Glennon Doyle, whether you like it or not, calls it the unseen order of things. Every single person in this world, in this room even, we all have a vision for what's possible. And I believe that is that's our compass, right? The vision is the plan. We can't attune to our vision because we're tired and it's hard out there and we're doing all these things. But just think if we could. If we all can lean into that vision, because the last thing I'll say, we were talking about the God drop last night, and Karen was like, do you think you have more? Because I don't even know why you said because.
I called you're spacious, vast and deep, right? And so I said, is it possible that you have more of the God drop if we all have the same God drop, right? Like, in the same drop of life breathing in us, which it has to. Like, if the light switch turns on, something had to turn it on, right? Like, so that's what happens with our life. However you want to say it. I was like, well, do you think you have more of a God drop? Because to me, I understand that source God wants to communicate with us at all times. And to the positive, very, very positive, you and you, that spaciousness to love so deeply and so vast and communicate and connect constantly is a gift. I can't even reconcile it in my head just because of, the autism and all that kind of stuff. But I do think it's a beautiful thing, and I just wondered if you believe it was a high thought. But I wondered if she believed that it was like, those are the best thoughts. I was like, wait a minute. Do you have more of a God drop than I do? And that's why you want to be connected and connected all the time, because Source wants to do that. So that was the question.
I said no. We all have our portion, whatever that is, and we're attuned to it differently. But we're attuned to it through the vision. We're attuned to it through our gifts. We're attuned to it, and it shows up through our blueprint and who we are. And the more that we can lean into that and be inward and connect and attune to that, that's what comes out. So you want the kingdom of God. We've got to attune to the God within us. We can't create something if we're not even connected to it. And that's the world that I want to see, is that we are all able, because if we're all there, there's a sweet spot in that space to where hate cannot exist. It's not that it doesn't, it cannot.
It will have
Division cannot exist.
But you've got to be in a place where you know that it exists.
Exactly. And how can you know that when you walk past 10 homeless people going to your car when we leave here? And people are hungry. I love the work you're doing. You should not be doing it, because the city and the state and the country has so much goddamn money and resources. They should be, if you're going to do it, they should just be giving you buckets of money to do it, because you are brilliant in your mind. So you're doing the work, and you have the vision. You're being led by your vision. And so nonprofits, this is dumb. Nonprofits should not exist. We should be caring for each other. We should not need a 501c3 just to give people free food because they're hungry. What?
Or garden. You have to have that to garden, or permit.
Yeah.
Because what if there's a liability? No.
I told you about
Feed the
those
people.
attorneys.
Feed the people.
But so, and the last thing is, you talked about the cooperative and the community, and I think one thing I love about us here, and then our community at large, is I feel like we do that. The amount of times we've been like, hey, I have this idea. It's me. I have this idea, will you all do this? And you say yes. Or if you ask me, or like, we say yes to each other. We show up for each other. Shay is the attorney for Kaleidoscope Youth Center. Like, we're using each other.
You are absolutely right.
Yeah.
We have always worked together.
Yep.
That's the difference. It's a lot of people running a lot of things in Columbus, and the more I learn, there's a lot of infighting, and it doesn't sound that great. But the three of us
Y'all
have
been through
always been good to each other. Yeah. We've always seen each other. We may have run in different circles and spaces, but at the end of the day, we knew that as three Black queer women in this community, we needed, it was just meant to be.
Yeah, we trust one another. Yeah. Like, we know that each of us leads from a place of love for our Black queer selves, and then for this community, no matter how we got here or what we do or how we choose to manifest those gifts or where we choose to give those gifts. And I think we've also allowed one another to work in the spaces that we wanted to work in. There's never been like but you're doing your work in the wrong way, or you're not doing it in the right place. It's like, no, you're doing the work. And I see that, and I respect it, and it's beautiful, and I just want to compliment it. As long as the work is, you are a person who wants to do the work, I love it. I see it. I want to champion it.
I'm just going to gloat one time. I remember it was 2017. We were in this room. I looked around the room. You're probably tired of me hearing it. And I said, every organization in this city could be run by queer Black people. You remember that?
Guess what, y'all?
Every one.
Every queer one is.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Every single queer one right now is. Equality of Ohio, we got Dwayne. Kaleidoscope, we have you.
I think I'm psychic.
Okay.
You did that. Look at that.
I mean, Aquarians.
God drop. You know what I'm saying?
David at Equitas.
David at,
Denzel
Equitas.
at Stonewall.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And notice the foundation.
Yep. right here.
we were at the foundation of that happening in various ways. But and I was just telling my team this at KYC, what you all see today.
Oh gosh.
Danny's been there. Like, I don't even have all
It's
the
on the
words,
come up. Like,
but
that's the
you
minimum.
know, you talk about New Leaf, Club Miss Urban Pride. Even before then, we were all trying to do something because it's like, what the fuck is this? And we wanted to see ourselves.
Well, and I think, and you're speaking to young people who are looking at the world today as it is. I want to say, when we were looking at stuff in 2007, it didn't look a lot better than, like when you looked at KYC was in an old building that no one was maintaining. We didn't pay rent because nobody would pay rent for that building. I shared a third floor, an attic. I love attics. I shared a third floor with the ED. You know, an ED has to share an office with an admin assistant. Yeah, and we're in an attic space that is barely air conditioned. I mean, and then you see what Erin has been able to create and steward from that space. I'm in awe. I'm in awe. That's why I'm a donor to KYC. I'm like, yes, girl, yes. I know what it was, but I think I also have that knowledge and that vision. I understand what Erin built and where it came from and what wasn't there and the resources and the way that it was on a shoestring. And here you get a nickel to do $1 worth of work and it better be good. And Erin demanded and advocated to at least get 50 cents for that $1 worth of work, right? And that was a lot of work, and I see it, and it's amazing. And I think sometimes we have to do a better job of letting our young folks know where we came from and where we've been and where we are now in comparison, because they're only seeing today. They're not seeing what was. And that something good has come from the work. We have it. My son used to look at me like this. My son, you tell me to sit down. My son be like, why are you at a meeting? Why you be doing all this stuff? Why you be running around doing all these different things, Mom? It's stressing you out. Like, why? And I'm like, you don't see the change. You don't see the difference. I am living the difference. When I showed back up in Columbus in 2002, this was not a city for queer black folk. You could not, it was hard to find us. It was hard to find a thing or the people or the community. That is not the case in 2025. And I can say part of my work is because of that. I can look back and be proud of it. Is it perfect? No, but it's a lot better than what it was. And
Absolutely.
I'm excited to see, I want people to be excited to build more.
And I love that. My whole thing for the future, and this is why I'm having this conversation with you all, is that people don't know about what got us here and all that, those meetings, and sitting here and saying, well, if we had this leading, Goldman Sachs did a study on black women called Black Womenomics, and they said that black women, if you give them the tools, will create the most diverse and wonderful and successful businesses, because that's what we do. And so I wanted to have this conversation of many to start to get that intergenerational and historical context in the space. And I really appreciate you all sharing all that you did with us. I have like a few minutes for a question from the audience if you want it. And I'm going to travel. So I have one question. Put it up now. All right, those two. That's it. All right. Okay, these two. All right, I got
also,
Leslie
shout
Battle.
out to whoever turned the air conditioning on, because perimenopause was kicking my ass up
Perimenopause.
here. So thank you. I was like, why is it so hot up here?
I'm like, that bitch. All right, here you go.
First, I want to thank you all so much. So much of everything that was said today just like hit me so hard. So thank you so much. And Karen, thank you for putting this together. So I kept hearing the word old. I'm a certain age, such and such. Okay, I'm going to be 55 in July. And I'm kind of new to the community in a way. Like, we've only known each other for a few years, and that was through comedy. And I'm so grateful for the work that you all have done. I want to get involved, but like Siobhan said, there's days that your girl can't be out doing a whole bunch of stuff. So for someone who is looking to contribute more to community, what advice, suggestions, but also, I might be having a hot flash in the middle of it, so how are we going to manage that?
I think one thing that's important is around like being old is we know in the context of age we're not, but when you're in this work and in these bodies, that accelerates a lot of things. And so the exhaustion, the wisdom too, right, is real, and been in it. And so that just adds to some of that. So
I would say the one-on-one. I love a good one-on-one for meeting people. Somebody the other day was calling it an informational. So, but I like I said, I love a meeting. I love to grab coffee. But I think that's a really neat way of just figuring out who's out there and what's going on. And that's where you're going to get like the real insight. That's how you're going to figure out, oh, they've got a planning committee that meets once a month on a Tuesday, and I ain't doing nothing on Tuesdays. There you go. That's my thing. It's like, just find that one little thing that gets you in, and that might be your one thing, and that's amazing because you got that one thing. You made the effort to get out and do that thing. Are you going to be at the brunch? Are you going to be running around Pride? All that other stuff. It's nice if you are. We love to see you. And I think just those individual connections can lead to that deeper connection within organizations and movements and projects.
And Leslie, follow your longing. What is the thing that's here? It's the ache. It's the thing that when you can't sleep, you're thinking about. The thing where you find yourself being outraged, and maybe nobody else is, but you're like, this is not okay. Follow your longing. That is going to guide you and direct you and orient you to who you should be having that coffee with.
Yeah.
All right. Paisha.
Thank you. Okay, before my question, the kingdom of God on earth, church is a movement, so I'm going to reach out for a 101.
Yes,
for that,
love it.
Because yes. And then, Erin, when you start the liberation conversation about us figuring out a collective vision for that, please hit me up. So my question is, on land and liberation, I started a nonprofit called Land of the Freed. It was around the injustice that was done to my ancestors in 1846 when they moved to Ohio to occupy land that was purchased for them, and it was stolen. And so that created a generational poverty problem. And so the board, the bench, has 3 of us on it. And we need money because we started restoring a cemetery. And that's only like one of the things. There's all these families now coming to us saying, this happened to our family too. And whereisland.org, they're overflowing with already trying to help families. So Land of the Freed wants to join that thing. But I struggle with asking Black people to work for free, and I need a board. So, in the other part of the executive board, there are 3 of us, like I said, and they don't trust white people. So I'm struggling with like allowing the white volunteers, the privileged volunteers, and then also like not wanting to ask my own people who were enslaved or descendants of enslaved to work for free. So can you please help?
The first thing I think in hearing that, I think about, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, but if you can tap into resources that already exist, it makes it a little bit easier. I think about, is there a Black attorneys or lawyers association that you could take this plea to? And as a group, if they hear you or they're able to be supportive, they're also connected to people who could also be helpful to you.
Do you know any Black attorneys or?
I know a lot of Black attorneys, but I also feel like maybe the tide at the NAACP might be changing.
It's changing.
And
It's
there
changing.
could be access to some people who could also be helpful. I also think that Alex Shanks, who I was just talking to the other day, he just bought a bunch of acres somewhere. He's kind of getting into like land.
Alex Shanks, yeah.
Oh,
Do
okay.
you? Okay, yeah.
I
Nice.
think that Alex is kind of getting into like Black farming. It's all this land, farming, all that is kind of connected.
Please pardon us for broadcast message
Amber
from
alert.
the emergency broadcast system.
So, I think that if there's a way to not be isolated with it, and we've got to try to help make some connections, and I'm more than happy to help make connections. I'm real good with connections. I'm not good with planning. I can't even plan dinner anymore, but I can connect 2 people together, and my email is just like, y'all go do what you're going to do, so. Okay,
Can
you're very welcome.
Go
Can I
ahead,
speak to
Siobhan.
one thing, though? Because you said asking Black people to work for free. Yeah, I feel that because, like, as you know, being a nonprofit executive, and you know, we went through this thing in 2021 about, oh my gosh, we need more Black people on our boards, right? And it was a struggle for me because it was the middle of the pandemic, and the last thing I wanted to ask a Black queer person to do was show up for a 2-hour board meeting with a bunch of white people, right? Like that felt very inauthentic and rude
Not
of
nice.
me to do that, and I had to get to a point where I had to say, you know what? It's an opportunity. I am not going to guilt a Black person into doing this, and it's a lot about being a fundraiser. When you make an ask, that is actually a compliment. There is no obligation that they say yes to that ask. That ask says, I see you, I see value in you, I have something that might give value back to you, and I'm just asking if whether or not it will. So I think you just want to look at that ask a little bit differently. You're not looking for a Black person to work for free. You're asking this Black person if their desires, if what they want to give aligns with your needs.
And it's their responsibility to set the boundary, and it be okay to say, I'm not available right now. That's okay too, or I don't have the capacity. That's real.
Yeah, and I enjoy a fun game we learned in emotional intelligence is how many no's can you get? Ask the people. You'll be surprised. You will be surprised by the people that join in. All right, so where can we find you all? Do you want to be found? And where can we find you all on the socials out in the world? Are you willing to connect? And what conditions are you willing to connect under? Because I'm looking at all of y'all. Letha?
I have a website. It's just real simple.
Is it LethaPugh?
www.lethapugh.com. And you can reach out. I ain't going to turn it around in like 24 hours, but I will get back to you. And when the notifications start coming in, I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah. I do. I got my website updated. Now the inquiries come, and you're like, well, God, now I got to answer this. Did I want that? I don't know. I guess so. No. Yes. Yeah, it's fun. It's real fun. Right. LethaPugh.com. What you?
You can find me on my front porch at the
Okay.
corner of Long and
The
Winter.
third floor with the unicorns.
with Skylar puppy sunbathing. No, I think my Instagram handle right now is rhymes with lesbian because my initials SBN do rhyme with lesbian. You can find me on.
So clever.
You can find me on the Coming Out Christian podcast, so please do listen to that. There's an Instagram Coming Out Christian podcast. The new episodes drop every Sunday. I think we're at like episode 6 or 7 of our first 12-episode season. I am looking for a guest for the bonus episode, which will be about sinners. So right? I know. My white co-host is real brave. Okay, got it. Love it.
I was like, me.
So please check me out there. And I think also maybe Bonnecorn. I make earrings. I am an artist and crafter who doesn't spend enough time doing that. So you can find my earrings at Bonnecorn on Instagram.
Bonnecorn, B-H-A-N. All right. Yeah.
Yes, Sinners the
Okay,
movie.
we thought you meant sinning. I was like,
You were like, I want to sin.
very excited when they thought
People got, I'm going to the Sinners podcast. Sign me up. I'm a heathen. All right, Erin, I'm so excited for this answer, but what would you like to share?
Well, I have a question first.
Okay.
Are we going to be able to say something before we say goodbye here? Because I have
Yes.
something I want to say to these two. That's why I was wondering. That feels ominous.
Say
doesn't
it now,
Okay.
and then tell
I
us
don't
where
want
we
to be
can find
found,
you.
and you know where to
You
find
don't
me.
want to be found, and you know where to
I
find
don't
her.
need to
Okay.
help.
She
You
said
know
she
where
don't
to
want to be
find me.
found. You know where to find her, and if you don't, then you don't.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
And I actually mean that. Or call me at 8 a.m. like Letha does. And sometimes I answer. Yeah. What I wanted to say, and I don't think we talk about this enough in our community too, is I know 2017 was mentioned here, and because we've known each other for so long, we've had our ups and downs, and there was a space where we weren't really talking. And what I appreciate and love, and I want to say publicly, I know I've said to you all personally, is the grace that we've been able to cultivate here, the call in, let's go to brunch. What's going on here? And like, let's just name it and talk about it and be curious. And so I think when we talk about community and relationships, it's such a core foundation of building and sustainability and loving each other. So I want to just publicly appreciate you all for, and myself, that we've been able to navigate that and be able to exist like we do.
It's so important.
Same.
Let
same.
them infight, not us, right? All right, so please go to YouTube and subscribe on the Culture of You podcast. I think it's Culture of You 8728 is like the handle on YouTube. And then I have a link tree, and it's just / Culture of You. That will show you all the shows. We have a show tonight. You won't see it on the radio or on the video, whatever. You won't see it because it'll be past that time. But there will be another one coming up, I'm sure. There's a show tonight at the Attic. And we're just going to keep having these conversations. We're here every last Friday or the Friday before the last Friday every month until, I think, February or March. We're doing it for 10 months, so it's 10 episodes per season. If you have people that you want to see on this, go ahead and email me. You can go through my website, which is cultureofview.com. It is upgraded, and you can inquiry from the website. So do that mindfully and intentionally. And you better have a specific ask. Especially if you want my time or my energy, a specific ask. All right, so keep each other close, be gentle with each other, and be